My name is Tiffany Johnson, and welcome to the second season of the Tier Childcare Podcast. After being in childcare for many years and having my own successful business, I wanted to show you what it takes to be top tier. Having balance while working in childcare can be very difficult. The demand that childcare has can cause us to overextend ourselves and become burnt out. Everyone who works in childcare wears many hats. We feel like we have to become Superman or Superwoman daily. But the truth is, we have to have balance in our own life for our own health. Today we have our co-host joining us, Miss Latoya Williams.
Good morning.
All right. So what are some signs that you have when you start to realize that you are starting to overextend yourself?
I am exhausted. My patience is extremely short, and I start to snap at little things that typically I would have a lot more leniency on and a lot more patience. Little things cause me to be on the edge.
I think I feel myself doing that a lot when it comes down to home. Because honestly, whenever I get overwhelmed and just having moments, I just kind of like pass the baton to you
Right.
and say, Toya, I can't. Because it has been several times over the last year. I have, we're on the way to a client or we're on the way to one of the schools, and I just felt like I'm just overwhelmed.
Right.
And I had to call you, and I'm crying and sobbing on the phone with you like, oh my gosh, like
Yep.
it's too much. Now after I cry, it's chin out, chest out for me, chin up, chest out for
Yeah.
me, because I still have to, do what I have to do. But, it being overwhelmed and just overextending yourself is real. And it happens so fast. A lot of times you don't realize that you're overextending yourself until you almost having a mental
Yep.
breakdown, or you're snapping on your kids or
Right.
the people that you work with. And I also feel like I just can't stay focused. Like I'm all over the place, and I feel like, I got tons of emails, or I have dropped the ball with my clients, or even I haven't washed clothes at home. It's
Yep.
the simple things that really, throw you off the deep end when you start to feel like you're overwhelmed. And I think that's something that we all have to have a handle on, because
Right.
like I was saying before, like we wear so many hats in childcare, that a lot of hats that people don't realize that we have to wear, and having that balance between work and home is important. But it's just, it can be very, very hard and
Yep.
overwhelming. So how important do you think it is to have balance between work and home?
It is very important, because when you don't have that balance, one goes lacking. I know just last week, my daughter came and she was like, Mommy, we're off Friday, Valentine's Day. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're in Walgreens and she's just picking out all these stuff. And I'm like, just pick one. And I like snapped on her. When we got to the register, she was like, I don't know what I did. And I had to apologize, because I stopped, I took a breath, and I realized that I had reached my limit.
Right.
And I had to say, you didn't do anything. I'm just exhausted. And when you don't have that balance, one is going to go lacking, or you're going to be so driven to do, I'm going to get this work done, I'm going to get this work done. Like you said, you start just bouncing from one task to the next task, and then after the day is over, you look and you really haven't done anything, because your mind is all over the place.
Or you started tasks and never finished them, so you just have a whole bunch of incomplete
Yep.
projects all over the place. I know one thing that it's several things that have made me feel like I needed balance between work and home was when Jayla was smaller, because the road of where we are now didn't come,
Nope.
easy, and it didn't come in the last few years either. It has been a long road. But one thing I've noticed when Jayla was younger, I used to work so much, and I still work now, but she's older now, so I'm able to do a little bit more. But when she was young and we was, working for another company, and we was in that building
Sun up
7
to
days.
sundown.
Yes, and 6-7 days a week. On the weekends, we hustling, busting,
Yep.
we pulling stuff off of walls, we organizing stuff, we doing all those things. But I realized that I did not have the right balance in my life was when I got terminated.
Yep.
When I got terminated from that job, and I was like, God, why? Because to a certain degree, I think I probably made that business my God and
The
didn't
priority.
realize it.
Yep.
And I prioritized it so much to that after I was terminated, I realized I didn't even know my child's favorite color. just the basic things.
Yep.
I did not know. I couldn't tell you what her favorite meal was. I was a good provider, but I realized I wasn't a good mother because it was always about work, just because I was able to take her to, see Disney on Ice, at the time, or for me to be able to buy her favorite shoes, or, for me to be able to just to provide. At that moment, I thought it was enough because I worked all the time. But it wasn't until after I got terminated, it was like, girl, you have no work home balance at all. It was always about work, and you almost lost your family because
behind this job.
And whenever they terminate you, they found replacements
like ASAP. Like they were sitting outside,
and they wasn't concerned about your home, your child, your well-being, you taking care of yourself, because I wasn't taking care of myself at all. I was just really working, paying bills and providing. And that's when I think for me years ago, I realized like, hey, we're not doing that. So even when I, started this company, SBS, what I always told y'all, it's about family first. I don't care, because I will shut down this school any day, anytime behind mine. And I expect for you guys to do the same thing. That's why I always say it's about the family. So, when people have doctor's appointments or just whatever, I want everyone to have that great balance, because I don't want anyone to wait until they lose someone or get terminated to realize that I have not been present in my home like I supposed to. And that really hit home for me, and I always made sure that I carried that out all the time. Now, I don't do a good job of it now. Because Jella's older, even though I'm present, but I could do a little bit more, but I have so many things on my plate. I'm still trying to juggle, that work-life balance, and it will never be perfect, because that's not realistic. It's not realistic to be perfect with the balance, but just trying your best to balance it all, I think is very important.
And I think that comes with the fact that to the top of your list is provision and making sure you providing and making sure you have food and they have necessities. And then you take a step back when you have provided all those things. The bare minimum sometimes means more to our family than all of those things. Yes, they need food. Yes, they need necessities. But sometimes just taking out an hour and say, hey, let's do movie and a popcorn and some popcorn. So we just have to look at our to-do list and say, hey, let's sneak in a little park time, or let's sneak in going to the mall. Let's sneak in that type of stuff, because the work is going to be there when we're fired.
Yeah.
The work is going to be there.
And when it's all said and done, the only thing that we'll have left is our family.
Yep.
So that's why it's so important to me now to really have it. Even though, like I said, I still, struggle with it a lot. But what are some things that you feel like you do now to provide that balance?
So I swear by a checklist now. That just keeps me balanced. Like some things I have to prioritize, like I can get this done today. Some things that I need right now, I need to do it right now. Other than that, I'll push it back. If it's not a 911 situation, hey, I can get that on the back end of the week, versus everything has to be done by a certain time. That's not feasible half of the time. You can't.
And I think it's two things that I learned from two different people. One is my therapist, and he was like, Tiffany, you cannot eat an apple whole. So you have to be able to learn how to slice it so it's edible for you, so you can do what you need to do one piece, one slice at a time. Because for me, I was looking at the whole picture. Like the whole picture is I have to get this 1 through 50 done. And that was another part of me just being overwhelmed, is because I'm looking at the whole piece. Like, I got to get this done. And it's like, girl, it's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And you're one person. So how is that going to happen? Another thing that I learned from my therapist is when you win something, you gotta lose something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at first I didn't understand. I'm like, what? Well, why I gotta lose if I'm winning? And he was like, Tiffany, if you normally, can come home every day and cook a meal and clean up every day, right? But while you're winning, you are unable to come home and do a lot of those things that you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to lose the control of coming home and
Right.
clean it up now. So now you might need to hire a maid instead. It's still getting done, but it cannot be done by you.
Right.
So, because I have had several breakdowns, like, oh my gosh, I come home and my house is not in the
Yep.
way that I want it to be. And I was like, what I supposed to do? Because now I'm overwhelmed from everything that's going on with my to-do list at work. I'm overwhelmed with my to-do list at home. Because now when you go from work to home, that's two different hats.
That's two different hats.
Two different roles. You got to be mommy. You got to be wife. You got to be
Teacher, because you got to do homework.
Yeah, you have to be. So you have to wear a totally different hat when you are home. So I've learned, like, listen, Tiffany, you cannot come home and clean up every day. That's not possible. Sometimes I can't clean up every week. Y'all don't judge me.
Right.
But I can't. I cannot do it. But I can. But I knew I had to find something else. So instead of me going out to eat 3 times a day, maybe I need to cut it down to 2 times a day. Because now I need to pay for a maid.
Right.
Because I am unable to clean this house like I want to and keep it the way that I want to because I don't have the time. So I gave up making sure spending a whole Saturday cleaning up my house because I do CPR, first aid trainings on Saturdays.
Yeah.
We do stuff on Saturdays. We have clients that we have to go to on Saturdays. So I don't have the time to go and do those things. So guess what? I cut back somewhere else. So I'm able to afford a maid to come in and say, go ahead and get them clothes. Because I ain't able,
Right.
and just like last week was a very overwhelming week for us, very overwhelming. But I just so happened, I forgot the lady was even in my house, to be honest with you. She was there 8-9 hours and I forgot. But by the time I got home, I was like, oh, the lady been here. I forgot she was even here. And I didn't feel another whiff of me being overwhelmed or me having to overextend myself because now I got to put on the hat of.
You felt more of a release.
Yes. It was like, oh my gosh.
It's not adding to. Adding to.
The fact that I was able to come home and them clothes was folded. Don't understand. But it just, it's things that, and another thing that I've learned by somebody is having a calendar. Putting my calendar on my phone and my iPad really makes a difference. Because now I know every single day what I have to do. And I also have started to, which I started this last year, but I have not been 100% effective in it, was taking a day off during the week. Because even like I told you guys too, like, hey, work from home one day out of the week because
it definitely helps.
It helps because even though you're home, you're able to balance between answering the phone, your emails, and putting a load of clothes in the washing machine.
Yep.
Or just saying, I'm not going to move today. I can still get my work done, but I'm not going to move because, believe it or not, getting in and out of the car and riding around town all day, that's exhausting. And people don't realize how exhausting it is.
Right.
Or it can be. So, how do you feel once you have created balance and how much more productive you feel after you have made your calendar or put your to-do list together? How do you feel after you have put those things into place?
I can rest. Like my brain isn't always going like, oh my God, I have to do this and I need to make sure I add this and I need to check this off. Like I actually can have that. My time of peace is first thing in the morning when my kids are asleep and I'm in the bathroom, and that's my time to talk to God. But when I am overwhelmed, like I can't even speak. I can't say a prayer because my brain is going overload. But once it is on the slate, I've written it down. Monday I'm gonna do this. Tuesday I'm gonna do this. Wednesday I'm gonna do this. I have that moment of just peace that I can just woosah. I can listen to my music. I can say a prayer, all that good stuff, and it just gives me peace to go through the day. Now, does things happen that may try to steal my peace? Absolutely, because life happens, especially in childcare. It happens. But I still am not as overwhelmed because I know what is the next step for the next day. Or, like I said earlier, I can push something back. I don't have to do the work order today. If it's not a 911, I could push that back to Thursday. So I'm more at peace. I can rest. Not so much physically, but my mental is resting.
And mentally, you may feel like you're physically tired, but you're really mentally drained. Because I tell people all the time, because people really don't understand, like when I go get my hair and my nails done and stuff, then, like they know, don't ask me how I want my hair and my nails. I make decisions all day.
Right.
I think all day.
All day long.
I really don't care. Okay. I don't. Me about to give you an option or opinion about what I want, honestly, it ain't even that deep or that serious to me in certain things. Even with you guys, I'm like, listen, just make a decision.
Right.
Don't ask me, because I have to think all the time, and your mental is like, I need a break for a second.
Right.
And I know I'm able to focus a lot more. That's when you guys get all them emails.
Yes. God, Jesus.
So, and I'd be like, oh, I'm back.
Right.
Because now I'm able, I've had that time, that downtime, to just reset and do the things that I have, that I have learned along the way with the calendar, the checklist. That's why I give you guys checklists all the time, because that's what helped me stay on task. And just like you said, I'm able to say, you know what, I'm supposed to do this on Monday, but it can wait till Tuesday. Or sometimes it can wait till next week.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to, because it's still stuff that y'all need from me to this day, but I knew it wasn't going to kill y'all for y'all not to have it.
Right.
Y'all know the basics. Y'all know how to get through how you've been getting through. So guess what? When I'm able to get to it, I get to it. Now, if it's something you guys need right now, of course I give it to you. But if I know it's not life or death, or it's not going to stop the business from going or growing, then okay, I'll put it on the back burner. It's
Absolutely.
on the list. I'm gonna get it done, but it just won't get done right now, because like you said, as life happens, sometimes what you have on your to-do list, what happened that day, takes priority over what you put on your to-do list. So most of the time I try to put like one big task a day on my list, because I know life is gonna happen and my phone gonna ring and everybody gonna need something. So I still have to get all those things out of the way, plus what I already had done on my to-do list as well. So, well, thank you again for this episode. So people can really understand, that they're not the only ones that get overwhelmed in childcare, and there's things that they can do to help themselves not be so overwhelmed, and so they can still regain.
Create a to-do list.
The to-do list
has been a game changer for my life.
And the calendar.
Yeah.
Because now we bounce off each other with calendars. So, as far as like the main office, like, hey, what you got on your list? Because, I have this on mine. So make sure you add this to yours. So we won't double book ourselves, because I have done that too.
Yeah.
When I haven't had my iPad, or when I haven't had, my phone in my hand and pulling up the calendar, I have like triple booked myself.
Yes, you have.
So it's like, okay, now at this point, I have no other choice but to get it done. But at the end of the day, I am no good to my family.
None.
Especially that little 2-year-old that no matter what, he don't know what's going on, but he needs me. So we just have to in childcare, we just have to take a break, find out the ways that we can have balance so we can be able to move on.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Top Tier Childcare Podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And if you have any questions, you may email us at info@btoptier.org.